Hey guys, I just want to talk you through your test over the Scarlet Letter, chapters 1 to 5. Here you will see the document that you'll work on, and here you'll see the instructions and the rubric. So, using your submitted Schoology assignments for all the assignments in your Transcendentalism folder, you're going to write posts and messages that reflect an understanding of what is public knowledge and what is private knowledge in the Scarlet Letter. So keeping in mind that there are certain things that some characters know and other characters don't know, and we want to make sure that you understand that. Between words, hashtags, and pictures, which means that I require all three, okay? So you need to have a picture here, okay, if it's an Instagram thing. The name, if you want to put a picture here, that's great, but you absolutely have to have a picture here. And the words go down here, and then the hashtags as well. So you have to have all three, otherwise you're going to get marked down here, okay? So between words, hashtags, and pictures, you should incorporate as much of the chapter as you can and show that you have more than a surface level understanding. So I'll talk through each chapter and then I'll come back to the rubric. So for chapter 1, you need to have one post from like a Puritan that's standing outside the prison, okay? One post from a Transcendentalist, one post from the rose bush that's outside the prison door, okay? Let's come over here. So, if you say something that shows a very limited understanding of the chapter, like you don't really know that much, if what you say contains misunderstandings, some of what you say has accurate information, but some of it has inaccurate information, or it's just difficult to determine the relevance, then that's a D. If your post demonstrates a partial understanding, like you've got some of it, or if it's pretty vague, or if it just copies a relevant part of the text word for word, okay, then that's a C. If your post is accurate, it's relevant, and it shows a secure, like a solid understanding of the chapter or the ideas in the chapter, then that's a B. And in A, it says a post that demonstrates an in-depth and thorough understanding of the chapter. It's analytical, perceptive, and or offers supported interpretations or inferences. So that doesn't necessarily mean a quote. It just means that if you are going to make an interpretation or you're going to make an inference about a character or whatever, that there's a why you think that, right? So if you have any questions, like as you're writing them and you want me to check a particular one, I'm more than happy to do that. So for this, like you really need to focus on that right-hand column, because if you literally just write stuff from, that first assignment on Puritanism versus Transcendentalism, or if you write something from chapter 1, but it's just in the main body of the text, you're not going to get probably higher than a C. So you really need to focus on that right-hand column of the chapter 1 assignment, where if you haven't watched the video lesson, you need to watch the video lesson, because that's how you're going to have a secure understanding of what a Puritan might say, what a Transcendentalist might say, what the Rosebush might say, okay? So chapter 2, I would like 2 posts for the good wives, because I feel like they say a lot. You don't necessarily need to have like good wife 1, good wife 2, good wife 3, right? You can combine what they say, like as if it's one person, right? Or they have a collective like account, right? That's totally fine. I just felt like it was more than just one post. The town beadle, I want to post from him, and a townsperson who's watching this all happen, okay? Who's watching Hester come out, who's watching all of this. What might they notice? What might they say? I want one public post from Hester, which means what she would say publicly, what she would post publicly, okay? And then I want a private message that she might private message that she would send to a friend in England who's just said, hey, how did it go today? I was thinking about you all day, right? So this is just showing that you understand what she's going to present publicly versus what she might say privately, okay? In chapter 3, I want a public post for Chillingworth, and a public post for Hester, and a public post for Dimsdale. And so this is really significant because these are things that they wouldn't care if anyone in town knew or what they want anyone in town to think. Okay, it's not necessarily the whole truth, right? Because there are definitely things that are hidden that they don't want everybody to know. And so this is what they would present publicly on their social media platforms based on what happens in chapter 3. And then this is a private conversation after chapter 3 between Hester and Dimsdale. Okay, and so I want you to show me your understanding of the chapter, what happens in chapter 3, and how these characters, what these characters might say to each other afterwards. Like this is like secret information, like that only they would know, right? Chapter 4, I want a public post for the jailer. Okay, what he's been seeing and hearing and things like that, or what he's noticed after like chapter 4 is concluded. A public post for Chillingworth and a public post for Hester. Now this is really important because there are certain things that they would not say publicly, okay, that they would not post publicly on a social media account because they don't want everyone to know, right? So these are things that they would say publicly. And then here, this one I want twice as long as Hester and Dimsdale because there's definitely twice as much to say here. So for this private conversation, I want you to write it as though chapter 4 is concluded, but reflecting back over the chapter, if that makes sense. So like, show me that you have a secure understanding of what was said and what happened over the course of the chapter. Chapter 5 is really short because I just had to do a summary of it. So I want one public post that Hester would say, and you're going to have to put a lot in there, okay, to show that you have a secure understanding of the chapter. Just one thing isn't going to do it. And then one thing that a townsperson might post based on what you read in the summary. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure you have a picture, make sure you have words, make sure you have hashtags. Don't feel like you have to be confined to this space. If you need to write more, you need to write more, right? It's not a big deal. And especially on like these conversations, just make your font really small. You have to type it. I will not accept it if it's handwritten because I'm running all of them through Turnitin. Last year we had an incredible amount of students cheat and turn in other people's posts or other people's posts and messages. And I think we got up to about 50 people. And so it's something we're really conscientious of. So make sure that you do it yourself. You don't work with anybody else. You don't have similar posts to anybody else. You don't turn in anyone else's assignment. You don't share your assignment with anyone else. It has to be typed because they're all going through Turnitin. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.